as students, if not in the moment, maybe in the hindsight, need to understand what is being broken and how it's being put back?
No, the student will never know. Tonight you experienced Sophia and Yusuf as you were trying to have a conversation with people, as you were trying to eat. They were just being themselves. They're just young kids on the path of destruction. Whatever they see, they want to destroy. So what do? We grab them by their necks. We pull them into the bedroom, and we try to discipline them as gently as possible. Do they know why? Do they know why we are being stern and harsh? No. All that they know is that I was having fun. People seem to also be having fun. We weren't really doing anything. We're jumping up and down. So what if, the water cup went all over the place? So what if the knife went into Guining's chest? We were just having fun, And so you're trying to break their spirit of just having casual fun when other people are here. Because what they don't know is that on Monday they have to go to school, and they can't be this way. Tomorrow we're going to have people here, they can't be this way. Day after tomorrow they're going to get a job and they can't be this way. These are things they don't really know. They're all things that live in the future. Let's say, for example, you've had this tendency of just moving around. Being in Washington for 2 years and being in New York for 10 months and all over the place. So you've never really had the stability, and you've kind of had this idea that, there is no place on earth worth stability, being stationary. And so you go somewhere and someone tells you, okay, Ginning, you need to buy a house. Buy a house? Did you know that I've been moving around from house to house for the past 20 years? Yeah, I know that. That's why you're an idiot. But now I'm so free. I know you're free. It's the wrong freedom at the wrong stage in your life. Okay? So what do I need to do? Buy a house. But what am I going to do if I want to leave? Leave for where? You've been going to places for long enough. It's time for you to just sit your ass down. But I like going to places. It's enough. Now, you have no idea what it means and how it's going to work for you when you buy a house. It's going to anchor you for the first time in your life. Just in case you wake up in a bad mood and you say, I'm going to quit my job. God damn it. I paid $90,000 down payment for this house. If I quit my job, the bank is going to take this house. And my $90,000, it's going to go away. I won't see a dime. And you know what that's going to do for you? You're going to overcome your emotions. You're going to overcome your hatred. You're going to get yourself up, take a shower, and get a house. Go to work. And do you know what happens when you start doing that? It's going to civilize and mature you. Sure, it'll take some freedoms away. But for the first time, you'll be anchored. But you have no idea, while all this stuff is happening, how it's going to save and protect your future. And I think that's, it's like my parents. Amir, go to school. School is for losers. Go to school for what? you know. Uh, I think anyone who's kind of has had some experience in life, and the experience has been healthily interpreted, they have insights, insights you don't yet have. And if they are relatively sincere and honest, it's good to borrow their insights and follow blindly. Let's say you take a guy home to your mom and says, "Mom, this is Bob, and I'm going to marry him, I think." Now, your mom has been there. Your mom has been married, let's just say not once, twice, but 5 times, or 4 times. And she's been to many bars, or she's been to many parties. She's been around many different guys, and she looks at you and she looks at this guy and says, "Kidding, I'm your mom. I don't ever want you to go through what I went through. And I know I did you wrong, When you were like 2, I went out with Bob. Then when you were 3, I went out with John. When you were 5, I went out with Mike. Okay? Don't make my mistake. This is not a good guy for you. And let me tell you why. I think you should listen to your mom and overcome how you feel about this man. Just trash him. Suffer the loneliness. Suffer the agonizing lonely nights. You want to cry, you want to scream, whatever. 2 months over, it's finished. It's very difficult because you're emotionally consumed. You can't see things straight. And I think when it comes, and that's true for all aspects of life, whether you're on a path towards self-knowledge or you're learning the alphabets. You have no idea as a kid that these alphabets are eventually going to form words. You have no idea these words will eventually form sentences, and eventually a paragraph, and eventually a long essay. And you have no idea that learning the alphabets, the words, the sentences, will help you one day sit in a coffee shop and write a journal where you can see your own emotions and your thoughts on paper. Who could have explained all of this stuff to you when you were like 5? Nobody. And it's a difficult, place to be, because you're always going to assume that you're being taken advantage of, and sometimes you are, So, and it's a risk, And it's also true that you may follow someone like Gurdjieff and end up nowhere. You just didn't have the right stuff. Or maybe Gurdjieff was the wrong fit. I don't really know. But what remains true is that as a student you can't see too far ahead. It's impossible. What I always tell my students is that if you want to get married, before you actually talk about marriage with your companion, let's sit and have a chat. Before you have children, let's sit and have a conversation. Before you choose your major, let's sit and talk about this. Because if you paid attention, if you've been observant, if you have kind of seen and experienced the impact of certain branches of life, and you've kind of dissected them, understood them, I think you need these people to talk to. You know, if you were to come to me and say, I like this guy, the first thing I ask is he educated? I'm not talking about like being like Jesus Christ. Did he go to school? Does he have at least a master's degree? You know, you say, well, no. Okay, does he have a job? He says, yes. What does he do? Well, you know, he's like the shift manager at Home Depot. So what the hell are you doing? Like 30 years old. You know, Home Depot, it may be a great job, but, you know, it's not enough for a life. You know, because life is expensive, getting. He said, but I love him. I said, that may be so, but, you know, unless you have a great job, you're a lawyer, then fine. But I will do whatever I can to destroy your emotions when it comes to your relationship with this guy. You know, because where you are, money and finances may not be the most important thing right now in your life. You know, but you would want your family to be raised in a relatively safe and healthy environment. If you live in Oakland, if you can, you don't want to send your kids to public school. Everything in life demands money. You know, and you can't be a hippie. Oh, I'm just going to send them to, you know, that school over there and where everybody does drugs, and I'm sure my kid is a saint, he'll never be around drugs. I mean, you can think that way and kind of visit your son in prison. You know, because you have to understand, the more power you have in life, and if you can use that power in the right way, the less headaches you'll have. You know, and ever since we landed on this planet, we've really just tried to do one thing, to make our lives more comfortable. You know, there is nothing wrong with you waiting another 2-3 years to find a man or a woman or whatever, so that you suffer 3 years, but you're good for the next 40, 50, 60 years. I mean, I can give you, the best example is, when I wanted to learn music, I didn't want to read notes. They felt so alien, because I was filled with a lot of passion, you know, and I could sing, and that was my curse. I could sing, and I could sing really well, and so I would always want to go with my emotions or my heart. And when you sit and read notes, there is no heart in it, you know, and then you have to kind of look at that sheet note, and then you have to use your fingers in certain ways, use your arm in certain ways, and it was just too mechanical for me. Okay, that was about 35 years ago. When I pick up the sitar, I've been playing the same tunes for the past 35 years. I just can't be a good student anymore. I never was, really. And it would have never happened, but it would be nice for someone to have slapped me really hard some 40 years ago, telling me, sit down and learn how to read notes. Because when you can do that, after 2-3 years, you can play any kind of music. You know, so what happens is, you go with your heart, you're miserable for the next 30 years. You go with your intellect for 3 years, then your heart is free to do whatever it wants to. You can play Mozart, you can play Chopin, you can play Beethoven, Bach, doesn't really matter. You have access to all the stuff. But, you know, when it comes to music, I'm profoundly, profoundly poor. All because I followed my heart at the wrong stage in my life. I just wasn't a good student. And I don't know if someone would have sat me down some 30 years ago and explained things to me this way, that, Amir, listen, One of these days you're going to wake up and realize you're 50. And you want to pick up the sitar and play that particular tune only to realize you can't. And the problem is that I would have never received the advice well because first I was young. Young people don't receive advice. Because they think they can do everything. They're consumed by hopefulness. I am exempt from the laws of the universe. And so you pay the price. If you connect your question to what Lula asked, if things inside you are broken, at first you begin to have faith and you begin to trust and you begin to do as you're told. But like any other relationship, as you become more comfortable in the relationship, you know that, for example, every Tuesday or Wednesday and Thursday you come to the house or you go somewhere, then all the stuff from the past begin to slowly creep in, and they kind of come to the foreground, to the surface. And your ability to listen lessens, your ability to have faith and trust lessen. And then after a while, whatever we talk about will never really have much of an impact, So, and then all of a sudden you're consumed by doubt, And then the moment doubts come in, what happens is you take 5 sentences, you take them well, and then you reject 20 of them. And then slowly it becomes to 0. And then you just won't show up at all. That's how it usually happens. I mean, if your brokenness is borderline like trauma, if on the other hand, you're just kind of okay, so your father spanked you a couple of times and you got a couple of F's in classes and you fell off your bike and broke your leg. I mean, these are just things that happen to all of us. If the brokenness is traumatic, it's a very, very, very different story. Yusuf was stung by a bee like 3 years ago. He has dreams about bees. He has nightmares, I shouldn't say dreams. Sometimes he just wakes up and screams. And then he tells us to kind of, can you get the bees out of the bed? We're very lucky in the sense that, in waking hours, he doesn't see the world as bees. So he's kind of goes everywhere and does whatever he wants to. It's only when he goes to bed. If he saw the entire world as a place where he's going to get stung every single moment, then his life would be miserable, unless there's a way we could fix that.